Hi guys, Konstantin here, CGC. Today we're gonna have a look at one of the first components of a build that I'm doing just as a test rig for my system and a machine for encoding and such. The first component I'm getting is a Ryzen 9000 series processor. Now I know the 9800X3D is probably the bee's knees at the moment. It's the fastest gaming processor in the world. Everybody wants it. It's on pre-order all over the place. You can't get it. It takes weeks to get it. But unfortunately, I don't need a gaming CPU for my for this rig. I'm just gonna I need a more powerful CPU that does more multitasking than a 9800X3D. So it's just more than gaming. Therefore, I decided to go for a 9950X. For a Ryzen 9950X CPU, because it has double the core, so it's 16 cores, 32 threads, basically for multitasking is a lot better than an 8-core 16 thread CPU. And plus, on top of that, because the 9800 is so popular at the moment, it actually costs more depending where you buy from, but it actually costs more than a 9950X, which is weird. It's a bit strange because a 16 core 32 thread CPU shouldn't cost less than an 8 core CPU, but hey, it's just the cash and it's the hype at the moment. So anyways, without further ado, let's go to the unboxing. So this is the first time we're gonna unbox this. As you can see, it's still sealed. So 9950X, 16 core 32 threads, 80 megabytes of cache. It's made in Malaysia. Nice. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see, how do we do this so you guys see it as well. Boom. There's nothing surprising here, to be honest. Just gently cut the box. In the box, what you've got is, you just opened already. You've got the CPU and the sticker. I don't think anyone uses the sticker yet. If you guys use the sticker, just drop a comment below. I don't use a sticker anymore. But there it is. Looks beautiful. I'll do more pics with it and I'll see if I can add a video with it. Right, so this is a close-up of the Ryzen 9950X CPU. As you can see, you got like the blue PCB. You got those little I don't know, I'm gonna call them capacitors on the side or whatever they are. I'm hoping the video is not too shaky. And you've got the these etchings here, so they can put the capacitors and a pretty hefty heatsink. But Ryzen 9950X CPU here, beautiful, very beautiful. Also in the box you get documentation for warranty and bits and stuff like that. And for this type of CPU, that doesn't come with a cooler, so you just get a very tiny box, and that's it. So in terms of packaging, it's very simple. This year around they chose a very compact packaging. Makes sense. You can ship more CPUs in the same volume that if you use the bigger packages. So that makes sense for me. Nice and small. All right, we'll do some performance testing as well, and I'll give you like some nice shots with it. So in conclusion, we've got Ryzen 9950X compared to Intel Ultra Core 9 285K. What I can say is just don't believe what you've heard from the bigger media outlets out there saying that Intel 285K, so the latest, the Arrow Lake generation from Intel is crap, is shit. Everybody's saying it. I personally wouldn't say that. After testing both CPUs, after owning a lot of CPUs and testing a lot of CPUs, not more than the big guys out there, but I've had my fair share. All I can say is Intel Arrow Lake is not that bad, but they have worsened on some aspects of performance. But in terms of Ryzen 9950X, all I can say is there is an uplift from the previous 7000 generation. There are a lot of good things to say about it. The only thing that I want to mention is I've had a lot of problems trying to get the memory working. So previously I had a 64 gig G-Skill Trident Neo Z5 whatever DDR5 kit, which worked flawlessly on the Ryzen 7000. When I put it on Ryzen 9000, it just would not start. I must have spent a good couple of hours trying to get the memory running, and it's not even running at XMP profile right now. It's just running at default speeds of 4800 because I can't get it to run. I've got the latest BIOS. I've done everything possibly that I could have done. It's just I can't get 2 sticks of RAM running at XMP profile. I can get 1 stick of RAM running in, but not 2. So I don't know if it's something with my CPU or it's something with this new generation of CPUs that just need to catch up on updates, BIOSes, and stuff like that. But I've been having problems with memories. In terms of that, performance of 9950 has been stellar. One of the fastest processors I've seen so far. It's got very good results in the benchmarks. Gaming, I'll show some. I've shown some gaming. I can't do too much gaming benchmarks, but basically it's what it says on the tin. It's a good CPU for gaming and productivity. If you only do gaming, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd rather say save some money from the CPU, move it towards the GPU, and buy like a 9700, 9800 or some other CPU. If you really want the best in gaming, obviously go for 9800X3D. If you don't, then there's a lot of CPUs from Intel you could go for, like the 14 series and stuff. So basically, in terms of productivity, again, it's a workhorse. It's really powerful. I didn't have any issues with it. In terms of frequency, this is what I like about it. One of the 2 things I like about it is the fact that in terms of frequency, this one, if you cool it properly, it's water cooled in the test rig. If you cool it properly, it stays up to its boost frequency for pretty much indefinitely, as long as you can maintain the cooling solution properly. So I had 5.7 gigahertz on it, so it's basically literally what it says here. So 5.7 gigahertz frequency under let's say gaming or low workloads. Under heavy workloads, it does go from memory around 5 or even slower. But I think I did a 3-hour benchmark on it, and it stayed somewhere around 5 gigahertz. Anyways, it's really good in terms of frequency. There's not many things I can say. In terms of comparing these 2 CPUs, there's some things that have seemed to be swapped between Intel and AMD. So I did notice that the memory latency for Intel has increased dramatically with the new generation compared to AMD, so the Ryzen 9000 series. So what AMD is doing, so currently this is a chiplet architecture, which is probably, I don't know which generation, it's probably the 9th generation, isn't it? Let's say, I don't know, X generation of chiplet architecture. So they've had many generations to improve on things like memory latency, because the CPU chiplet is decoupled from the memory controller, I believe, via those I/O dies. So there's no direct connection between the CPU chiplet and the memory controller, because the memory controller is controlled in another chiplet, which is called the I/O die. So basically, they don't talk to each other straight away. So there's always been some latency on the AMD side in terms of memory access. That's why they could never catch up in gaming with Intel CPUs. Now, this has severely improved. The memory latency is quite good on the 9000 series. As you can see, it's somewhere around 90 milliseconds with, as I said, just a random kit of DDR5. Now, in terms of Intel, which they've always been king at memory latency, but because they've switched their architecture to something similar to chiplet, they call it tile architecture. And then, don't get me wrong, this version of CPU is probably one of the best, one of the most, they brought in a lot of new technologies with this Intel Core 9 architecture. So they've changed a lot of things. One of them is switching to tile architecture as well. So they've got like a chiplet for the CPU and the chiplet for I/O die. Because it's their first version, the memory latency on the Arrow Lake is quite high, somewhere around 120 nanoseconds measured by myself. And I think many others have measured as well. The important thing to remember is its latency is higher than the Ryzen series. So this has swapped between the two. So this used to be more latent, this used to be faster. Now this is more latent, this one's faster. Which means that, yes, indeed, the Arrow Lake generation will not be as good as the Ryzen series in gaming, but there's one caveat to this. That's gaming at low resolutions where the CPU is the bottleneck. If you game at higher resolutions, such as 4K or in my case ultra wide, it doesn't matter much. The difference is between 1 to 2%, I would say. It's a couple of frames. It's not massive. So don't let the media outlets trick you. The new Ryzen series is fast, especially the X3D versions, but that's in 1080p gaming. There's a lot of benchmarks out there. You just have to look at the data and not take for granted what they're trying to tell you. If you look at benchmarks, you'll see that for higher resolution, these two doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't really matter which one you've got. If you've got an Intel or if you've got a Ryzen, if you're playing at 4K, there's going to be 1% difference between the two. There's not going to be a massive difference. I can't test it because I've got both CPUs locked in water-cooled rigs with different GPUs, which are water-cooled as well. So it's going to take me hours to swap them. So I'm not going to do that straight away. I'll probably do it down the road if I get access to another GPU. But yeah, in terms of 4K gaming, just pick whichever you want. I wouldn't say this one's better than this one. That's the thing I wanted to tell you. At that higher resolution, it doesn't really matter. What else I wanted to say about these two? In terms of productivity, they're both really good. Intel excels at some things, AMD excels at some other things. What I did notice is memory access. There was a big difference there. So Intel memory access is a lot faster, both memory reads and memory writes, than AMD. AMD is a tad slower. AMD is better at crunching numbers than Intel, which is weird. In terms of other bits and bobs, they kind of match each other. There's not a massive difference. I wouldn't say one is better than the other, but yeah, that'll be my recommendation. So ultimately, in terms of price as well, they're very comparable, I would say. But yeah, platform, I did notice a bit more instability with the Ryzen series rather than Intel. I forgot to tell you, Intel just works out of the box. So Intel CPUs literally, this one is first generation Arrow Lake. So I got a new motherboard, new memory, new CPU, and they all worked from the first press of the button once I've connected everything, which is pretty good considering it's a new architecture. So I would have expected a bit of debugging or a bit of going backwards and forwards trying to get stuff running, but no, everything just worked. So in terms of platform stability, I would say Intel works, and they've done a lot of work towards that because they've had a lot of issues with the 13 series. As you can all, if you want to look into the 13 series, has not been so well. They've had all sorts of bugs and stuff. But this platform just works. This platform, as I said, I struggled to get the memory running, and if you look at the big outlets out there like Gamers Nexus, they had similar issues with the RAM, getting the RAM to run. In his first, they only managed to get specific configurations. And there's another thing that I want to tell you down the road between these two. is at the moment there is a new not standard, I would say there's a new type of DDR5 memory which is faster, called CUDIM. And at the moment the Intel platform, the Z890 platform or the Z800 platform, is the only one that supports CUDIM memories, which are supposed to be faster, which will run at faster speeds. AMD does not support it yet on their platform, so if you're into getting CUDIM memory, go for Intel. Now, they have said that they're going to make improvements. They're going to update the microcode on the Intel side to bring more performance in games. They have done that, but I've not noticed more performance. But as I said, I'm not unhappy with it because I play at high resolutions anyways. So yeah, it's really hard to recommend one over the two. I guess it's gonna have to be a personal choice. It's gonna have to be whatever you can find in stock and whatever you can best configure for yourselves. If you can find like a X670 motherboard, which is cheaper, or some other version of it with the Ryzen 9000, which will make you get like a better deal in terms of cost and budget and stuff, you could go for it. These are pretty cheap right now, surprisingly. Well, I won't say very cheap, but they're cheaper than launch price because the 9950 X3D is going to come out, which is going to be amazing and blah blah blah. Obviously it's going to be very expensive, and for some reason these are cheaper than the 9800 X3D, which is an 8-core CPU. Don't get me wrong, again, 1080p gaming, it's really good. 4K gaming, same CPUs. The only difference is this guy has 16 cores for the 2 threads. That guy has 8 cores for the 2 threads. Yes, that guy has more cache, but this guy does better in productivity than the 9800 X3D. So yeah, it's really hard to recommend one over the other. I can't say just buy one over the other. Just buy whatever you feel like it's best for you. But as I said, if you're a newbie and you need platform stability, Intel is your guy. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. I'm just trying to get my subscribers numbers up, and I'll try to push as many videos as I can. If you got any questions, if you want to see more benchmarks and stuff, just drop a comment below. Thank you. Cheers.